Well, hello, and welcome to the Mythology of Astrology with my psychic connection. And today I am going to tell you the story of Leo. My name is Squirrel, and as I said, I'll be telling you the story now. I am one of those poor unfortunate souls being affected by that opposition between Mercury and Saturn. So bear with me because I may trip over my tongue a little more than usual, but I'm very excited to tell you this story. Just I've been having a really weird word day. So, story of Leo. I am so excited. I am a Leo. Tomorrow is my birthday, y'all. Say happy birthday to me. And before we get into the actual story, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the constellation because it's really cool how so many different countries and cultures saw the constellation of Leo. So it was actually one of the earliest recognized constellations, with archaeological evidence that the Mesopotamians had similar constellation as early as 4000 BCE. Wow. Okay. In Babylonian astronomy, the constellation was called La. I may have slaughtered that. I never heard Babylonian speak. That's how it's spelled. And that means the great lion. The Persians called Leo Sur or Shir. The Turkish are Tan. The Syrians are Yo. The Jewish are Ye. The Indians Simha. And they all meant lion. And then there is this brightest star in Leo's constellation called Regulus, and it is the heart of the lion. It is the kingliest of Leo's four royal stars. Um, Astronomers Eratosthenes and Hyginus both affirm that the lion was placed in the sky because it is the king of beasts, although the constellation's myths really symbolize the strength, courage, creativity, and tenacity that is inherent in the astrological sign of Leo. Now, it's a pretty weird story, and you're going to be like, who's the Leo here? But pay attention and it'll come to you, and I'll help out a little bit too. So we're going to start out with a goddess named Hera. You all know, if you've watched any of the mythologies of astrologies, you know that Hera instigates quite a bit. So in this case, it starts out with the birth of a young man named Hercules, the son of Zeus, the god of thunder, and Hera's husband, and a young lady named Alcmene. Now, Hera usually took out her anger on the consorts of Zeus. Very rarely did she take that out on the children, but for some reason, she absolutely hated Hercules. So when Hercules was born, when he was about 7 months old, Hera sent two snakes to kill him and his twin brother in their crib. Now the infant we're talking, not even a toddler, Hercules was unusually strong and fearless. So he strangled those snakes before they could strangle him or his brother. And all the gods just went insane over this. They knew who sent those snakes. And they said, "You are not allowed to harm this child. You can't touch him." They were already completely in love with him and they didn't want anything to happen to him. He was already so cute and cuddly, and everybody wanted to be around him. He was a good guy, a good kid. And Hera, she took this to heart and she twisted it to mean, well, I can't physically hurt him. So she had a plan. She kept up some seriously dirty tricks. When her stepson was a young adult, she cast a spell on him to drive him slowly insane. And it caused him, God bless him, to kill his wife and his three sons. And he just lost his mind and he was going to commit suicide, which is a horrible thing. I hate that that is part of this. But he went to his cousin Apollo, the sun god, and Apollo decided, hey, we're going to we're going to have to punish you because you did do the deed. But this was not something you would have done. So we're going to keep you alive. And if you do these, what I'm telling you, you've got to do, then we will give you immortality and invite you to live on Mount Olympus with us. And you would think that immortality at this point would never appeal to Hercules. But he felt that if he could atone for this horrible sin of killing his wife and his children, maybe he could move on and live again. Now, if you want the whole story of how Hera drove Hercules crazy and everything that happened in there, that was told in the story of Cancer last month on the Mythology of Astrology because it dealt heavily with Cancer too. Cancer was the second labor of Hercules. So that brings us to the labors of Hercules. That's what Apollo put on Hercules to atone for his sins. So there were originally 10. They turned to 12 because people said that Hercules cheated because he had help or he had information or gifts from other gods to help him. But Hercules was told to serve King Eurystheus. I have a hard time with that name. King Eurystheus of Tiryns until all the labors were fulfilled. Now, King Eurystheus was a cousin to Hercules, and he hated Hercules with a passion because Hercules' human father, an adopted father, Alcmene's husband, Amphitryon, had accidentally killed Eurystheus' father. So Eurystheus really wanted to destroy Hercules because he had a father. Hercules did, but Eurystheus didn't. So he kind of went into cahoots with Hera on this whole thing. And he decided that he was going to make sure that Hercules died within these 10 labors. Now, the killing of the Nemean lion, and I'm going to tell you about the Nemean lion in just a moment, the retrieval of its hide and the killing of the lion would become the first labor appointed to Hercules while he was in servitude to the king. Now, so what is the Nemean lion, you ask? Not an ordinary lion. It was a legendary creature in Greek mythology that ravaged the area of Nemea. He was Hera's backup plan to destroy Hercules. When he did not die as a baby, and she was told that she could not harm him and twisted that into directly harming him, she went to the mother and father of monsters, Typhon and Echidna, and she begged them, please, please, I need you to create this lion. And he needs to be twice, three times as large as any other lion. He's got to be enormous. He's got to be brutal. He's got to be a ravager. And he needs to have impenetrable skin to any human weapon or any weapon that a god could devise. So Kidna and Typhon, they thought about it for a minute and they were like, that sounds like fun. Let's make this critter. So they actually made this lion and then they gave it to Hera, and it was still just a wee baby. So Hera, she took the lion and she raised it. She did never give it a name. She never named her monsters because she knew that they were probably destined to die against Hercules' strength. But she took this lion, she suckled it at her breast. It was an infant when she got it. She actually fed it. It's her milk. I hope it didn't have any teeth. But she raised it. She raised it to be brutal. She raised it to be mean. And she raised it to be loyal to her. And then she was saving it for Hercules. But then one day, y'all saw this coming probably. Zeus had another affair. And that affair, this affair, it pissed Hera off beyond pissosity. And for the first time, Hera was like, I'm punishing Zeus. And she took this lion, he was fully grown by now, and she let him loose on the temples of Zeus in Nemea. And that lion would not let anyone near that temple. It ate every male and it stole the women, all the young maidens, the virgins. It would steal them and it would have them behind him because it was a very crafty lion. It was incredibly smart. And it would use these females to draw in the men. And the men would be like, we've got to save the women. Those are our girls. And they'd run in, armor and all. And that lion would eat them. Nothing could touch it. And it could just rip right through the armor. It was a terrifying creature. So it kept stealing the women. And the men kept dying. And then when the men would die and there were no longer any men that cared about these particular women, it would eat the women too. It was ruthless. It did exactly what Hera taught it to do. So when Apollo told Hercules that he had to do these 10 labors, she went straight to Eurystheus and said, hey, this is his first labor. He will die. Don't you dare tell him how strong this lion is, how big this lion is, or that nothing can touch it. So Hercules, he went. He he got his goal. He's supposed to kill this Nemean lion. That's the only name it had. And he took off on foot to go kill the creature. So he passed through the town of Cleonae and he was welcomed into the home of Malorchus. Malorchus was he was a shepherd whose son had been eaten by this lion. So he welcomed Hercules in, fed him, and said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make a sacrifice to Zeus so that you will have a successful hunt. And Hercules said, no, man, that doesn't feel right. It feels like I'm cheating. So how about you wait 30 days? And if I come back, we'll make a sacrifice to Zeus together of the lion. But if I don't come back, you can make a sacrifice in honor of me for getting eaten by the lion and trying to save these people. And Malorchus was like, sounds like a plan, and sent him on his way. And while Hercules was in Malorchus's home, Apollo realized that Hercules might need some help. So Apollo showed up and he had these beautiful golden arrows and a beautiful golden bow made for Hercules. He said, you really, really might need a little extra boost on this. I'm not allowed to say much, but use these weapons and maybe you'll have some luck and you won't ever need to go near this lion. So the next day, Hercules wandered through the Nemean countryside because the the place that he was really close. And he saw all this bountiful farmland, all this beautiful houses and homes and farmland that was just rich and ripe, all going to waste because it had been some time since this lion had been here, and everybody was terrified to go near the land. The lion was ruthless. So finally, he came across the lion and he saw how enormous it was. It was at least 3 times bigger than a normal lion. So he's like, man, thank you, Apollo. And he pulled out his bow and his arrow. He's like, I got this. I'm going to get this sucker before he even sees me here, before he catches wind of me. And he pulled back his bow and he aimed, and he had really good aim. And he let the arrow fly, and it pounced right off of the lion. He said, holy crows. That was a magical arrow, and that didn't even penetrate. So then he was like, he pulled his sword out and he said, what? And ran out the lion, and the sword bounced right off. And the lion just pow, backhanded him. Hercules went flying, hit a tree, and he was stunned. Stunned. Now, this lion, luckily, liked to play with its food. So it just kind of creeped up on Hercules like, I got you now, boy. Creeping up and just ready to eat him. But Hercules got his senses back and he was able to jump to his feet. And the tree that he landed on, he pulled it right out of the ground. Y'all got to remember, this was the strongest man ever. He's fully grown here. He just pulled the tree up by his roots and he said, slam right into that lion. And the lion flew. But it stood up, and I swear, y'all, it said, it laughed. And Hercules ran. He said, holy shit. And he ran. And he could run pretty quick. And the lion, he was pretty full because he'd just eaten a whole bunch of soldiers coming after him for those women. So he went back to his cave and he's like, that boy ain't coming back. That boy is done. And if he does come back, I'll just eat him. It's no bother. So he fell asleep. Well, Hercules crept back to that cave that night and he noticed there were two entrances. And that's one of the things that was so crafty about the lion because people would come in to save the girls and the lion would circle round and get them from the back. So Hercules lifted this giant rock as gently as he could. He didn't want to wake the lion up. And he closed up one of the entrances. Then he snuck around to the other entrance and he said, I have got to kill this lion. No weapons can do it. I'm going to try something new. So he crept into the cave just as quietly as he could, made sure he was downwind. And let me tell you, that cave stank of death because so many people had died in it. So he was hoping that the lion couldn't smell him over all of that stench. And he crept up on the lion and then he jumped up on the lion's back and he got his arm around the lion's throat. And the lion came up and he was just roaring and hollering around, freaking the heck out because he'd never had anybody do this to him. Couldn't reach Hercules because Hercules was behind him. Hercules, every time the paw swiped down, Hercules would jump his body back. But he just kept a chokehold on that lion until slowly, oh, so slowly, the lion got slower and slower, slower, and finally slumped. And still, Hercules kept his arms wrapped around that lion's throat until he was sure that that lion was dead. Man, it was a vicious fight. It raged on for most of the night. And that lion really tried to get him, but Hercules was canny. So then the second part of this labor was that he was supposed to bring that skin back to Eurystheus. See, Mercury. So he was supposed to bring the skin back. So he pulled out his knife and he went to pull the skin off the lion. Nothing. The knife bent. And this was a good daggone knife. So he took out Apollo's arrowheads. Nothing. 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 Now, I'm going to interject here. All the research I had done initially said that finally Hercules was able to skin the lion. That really bothered me. And that night when I went to sleep, and I am not kidding y'all here, I started skimming sleep. I don't know if y'all know what that means, but it's like almost asleep and then something happens and you keep waking up. Every time I started to sleep, I heard the word Athena. Heard a woman's voice. I was getting really pissed off around 3 o'clock in the morning, still trying to sleep. And finally it came up, Athena. And I jumped up. I said, okay, okay. So I looked up Athena with the Nemean lion. And it took some doing. I had to find some deep mythological, like college level stuff, and I'll let y'all know where that was and in the write up, okay? But it was really deep mythological. And it said that Athena felt sorry for Zeus. She watched him trying to skin this lion. Nothing was working. And she finally said, and this is important, y'all, nothing can skin that lion. Nothing can penetrate its pelt except for its own claw. Man, my head exploded, and I will explain that. So, finally, Hercules, with the paw attached because he couldn't get through the skin to cut off the paw, skinned inch by inch, skinned that lion with its own claw. And then he took the pelt and threw it over his shoulder. Now, he went straight to Eurystheus. And when Eurystheus saw that pelt, that dead monster on the shoulders of Hercules, he became terrified, absolutely terrified. He was like, man, if he could kill that monster, he can kill anything. And if he finds out I'm in cahoots with Hera, he's going to come after me. So he drove Hercules out of his yard, just like, get out, get out, get out. Hercules, like, I don't know what's going on. And then he ordered his wife to solve all future issues with Hercules through messengers. Now, that pissed Hercules off. He's like, I'm serving you. I did this for you. To hell with you. I'm keeping the skin. That is why the Nemean lion was not counted as a Hercules feat being done. That's why he ended up with 12. There were two where he had help or he didn't fulfill the whole thing. But Hercules was like, no way in hell am I giving you this pelt. It's just not going to happen. So Hercules kept it. He wore the lion on his head and he had the pelt all around him. So not only now was he the strongest man ever to grace God's green earth, or the God's green earth, I should say, but he was also invulnerable because still nothing could penetrate that skin. So, in commemoration to the labor of Hercules, the Nemean Games began to be held. And these went on for a long time. So during these games, the universal peace in Greece was proclaimed. The lion was placed by the gods in the sky in the form of a constellation with bright stars. In another version, Hera, really loving the loyalty of the Nemean lion to her and seeing how hard it fought, she either took pity on it or she felt guilty about it, and she placed the lion in the sky. The lion has always been the king of beasts, the constellations, since Mesopotamia, since when we know about astrology, quite possibly even before then. But a lot of mythologists believe that the lion was actually Hercules, that when Hercules donned that lion's pelt, he became the Leo. I do believe that the Nemean lion had the loyalty, but Hercules had all the other traits that are given to Leo. So I hope you loved this story. And I hope it flowed well with that opposition from Mercury to Pisces. And if you have any questions, I'd be really happy to take them. Any questions about the story, any questions about Leos in general, or any questions about astrology are welcome.
All right. What a good story.
Thank you. I wanted to print. I was so pissed because when I initially did the research, it just ended with Hercules skinning the lion. That was it. And then that daggone dream opened up like all of the rest of it. So I think that that dream is the universe talking to me. And Kelly, hi Kelly, she made it. And Rose, what a beautiful story. Thank you. And Kelly said, love your fabulous story. Thank y'all. I was I was having communication issues today. Like, what is that word? No, I was a little nervous, a lot nervous, but I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. And thank you so much for being here, for coming. Very enjoyable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, the lion, when you were talking about, you know, how the Greeks put the lion with God or gods, and that's part of the pride.
Yes.
It's part of the
Yeah.
pride is the recognition, for many Leos being recognized. They don't
Oh,
expect.
yeah.
They don't expect. They never say it for themselves. They expect others to see it from them.
Yes. And an unrecognized Leo is pretty sad.
Yeah, you never want a sad Leo. You definitely want a happy Leo. But that impenetrable skin, like you can't get through it. Because when a Leo is set on something, that's another thing. It's hard to penetrate to them. That if they're a sad Leo, trying to get them to cheer the hell up, good luck. It's hard for them.
And then too, that impenetrable skin is like most Leos, like healthy Leos, but
Mm-hmm.
this is an unhealthy trait actually, but most Leos, you'll never see them hurt
Mm-hmm.
unless they let you. That pride, that skin, we look thick-skinned, we're
Mm-hmm.
really not. We get hurt feelings really easily. Kelly said, I had to use Herculean strength today for sure. What traits are most prevalent from Hercules with the Leo sign? That is an excellent question. The tenacity, the figuring out how to get something done. When a Leo wants something, it doesn't matter what obstacles you throw in their way. There were a lot of obstacles there for Hercules, but he met each one. He took some time to think about, but he was like, I want this. I'm going to do this. And he figured it out. And that was no easy feat. Um, the optimism, Karina says, thank you, loved this. And I'm not sure when your birth date is, but happy birthday to you. Thank you, Karina. It's in about an hour and a half, or a half an hour for the Eastern time zone. But no, I guess it's an hour. Wait, no, 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 just scratch that. Now I'm confused.
In
Um,
30 minutes on the East Coast, it will be your birthday.
ah,
An hour for you.
okay. I'm confused. Whoever decided on time zones just really wanted to mess with me. I'm sure of it. But
Forgetting time is not a Leo thing, just so you guys get it.
yeah,
That's,
that's not a Leo thing. That's a squirrel thing.
mm-hmm. That's
But
definitely a squirrel thing.
Hercules, what I was saying to Kelly too is Hercules' optimism that he could atone in something so horrible and heinous, that he believed that he could make it right. And Leo energy, a lot of times, is so intent on pleasing others that it will go through any lengths to make it so. So that we got to watch that. We got to watch that. And Phoenix Rose said, Happy birthday. Thank you, hon. Yeah, I'm excited to do Leo so close to my birthday. So that was a great question. Great question. And Kelly says, but if he's angry, he's brutal, right? That is true of pure Leo. Pure Leo energy is, ooh, wow. It's loud, it's mean, and it goes for the throat, period.
But they're
But there are
strategic.
mixed, huh?
They're very strategic
Oh,
on how they
yeah.
do it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very strategic. Now, you will have some Leos with chart placements that pull that back or make them a little quieter, but pure Leo energy, when it's angry, is brutal. But oddly enough, for such a fixed sign, because Leo is one of the fixed signs, which means fixed usually holds grudges. Like we're talking Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius. Leo doesn't seem to hold grudges. They let you know when they're pissed, they let you know why they're pissed, and then they move on. They're like, okay, we're done. Let's do this better next time. Now, if a Leo does not spit it out when it is sour, when if they hold on to those negative feelings or those grudges, that's an ugly thing. That's an ugly thing, and it can make for a very bitter Leo. And Leos weren't designed to be bitter. Oh,
Hercules has a lot of fun in these mythologies of the of all of the astrological signs, and can see now why a Cancer can help calm a Leo.
absolutely, absolutely, because of that energy.
That
They,
connection, they share
I,
something.
I was really surprised because he does have 12 labors, and I kind of almost wondered why the 12 zodiacs aren't each the labors of Hercules. But the only two that are mentioned in the zodiac are Cancer and Leo. So, and Cancer comes first in the year zodiac wise, but it was Hercules' second feet, and Leo was the first feet. So it's kind of backward, but he plays really heavy into a lot of Greek mythology, and he was probably at a lot of the events in the other stories. And Karina says, I have found this in the Cancer fascinating, with my sons being born on the cusp and how true to the signs they are. One more Cancer, the other totally more Leo. And I bet you, Karina, if we looked at their charts, the one that's more Cancer might have a Cancer Mercury. The one that's more Leo might have a Leo Mercury or some other planet or the ascendant in their chart that weighs more heavily from one to the other. And the Cackling Witch Phoenix Rose says, I love the Hercules connection with these stories. And Kelly says, very interesting. I cannot wait for the next story already. I wonder why. LOL. Yay, Virgo. Yeah, that is one of my favorite stories. That one is truly a beautiful story, and you'll understand those Virgos a lot better with that. So, but I had it. I was thinking, oh, when Rose said, I love the Hercules connection with these stories, I kind of skimmed over the part with Hera hating Hercules and how she attacked him and how she made him um go crazy for all intents and purposes. If you want to hear a deeper, more detailed version of it, that is on the story of Cancer from last month's
Last month.
Mythology of Astrology. I know that was so hard to say, right?
That's all right. We got you. But yeah, the energies that, how you said that even though Leo was the first and then Cancer, sometimes, and this is even in modern times now, sometimes it takes the second episode of something to happen before the first story comes out, because no
Yeah.
one wants to mention the first story.
Well, the first, I got to tell you, I was disappointed in it. It took me some time to do the proper research to fully understand that it was Hercules and the Nemean lion, like a combination of the two. And
Hmm.
I thought, what a boring story. I really did. And I was disappointed. I'm a Leo. I wanted a damn parade. I wanted the best story in the whole zodiac. And I just didn't. It took me a lot of thought and a really weird dream or a series of dreams with Athena to really get that. But it's still, I'd have to say, of all the stories, And Kelly says, yes, that was an excellent story too. Cancer. I love that story. That is absolutely one of my top 10 favorites. Although, we only got Leo's probably my 11th favorite, to be honest with you. But it is a good story if you see all the pieces. And it took me a while to get there. I love that about mythology because you sometimes have to think it through. But I think my very favorite astrology story is Gemini, followed by Aquarius. Virgo will be next month, and I'm very excited. That's in my top 5. It's a heavy runner for Scorpio.
I can't wait to hear that one.
Oh, that one's ooh. I like telling that one. And Rose says, I love the Gemini story. I don't care how many times I think that or say it or tell it, I can't not cry. I just cannot tell that one without crying. Leo, I'm like, yeah, the lion's dead. No.
Well, but is the lion dead? I mean, even with the lion's physical departure, the lion's still a part of Hercules, as the lion's still protecting Hercules. It's, something that you, is still providing for Hercules, as what I remember correctly from some of the mythology I not wrote, read, um, that the lion protected him from quite a bit of
Oh,
destruction.
for the rest of his life.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, Hercules was mortal.
Hmm.
His gift was the super strength. Without the protection of the lion's skin, he could have been killed so many times. That Hydra, he would have been done for. And you got 10 Hydra heads coming at you. If he didn't have that cloak on, he'd have been poisoned very quickly. So,
Absolutely.
absolutely, that cloak really defined a lot of Hercules' feats. And Kelly says, that's my sun sign. Even though my moon and rising is Aquarius, I tend to resonate more frequently with Aquarius. You've got the sun sign in Virgo, and then the really strong moon and ascendant in Aquarius. Um, you will identify with that strongly because you've got two planets that are key factors in your chart that control what goes through you, truly. So, oh, and about the lion, one thing I wanted, like Alexander the Great absolutely adored Hercules. He just adored Hercules, loved those stories. And if you find pictures or paintings of Alexander the Great, he imitated Hercules. He had a gold crown made in the shape of a lion's head, and he had a lion's pelt for his cloak. That was Alexander the Great. Oh, so Kelly said, how was he able to wear the cloak of the lion without penetrating the skin? He did penetrate the skin with the lion's own claw. And that's a big thing about Leo. Leo can hurt itself more than anybody else can. We only truly get hurt if we let someone close enough who can hurt us, if that makes any sense. It truly is up to us. And some Leos, we love everybody and you're next, so anybody can hurt us. And other Leos are like, yeah, you're not going to get close to me because if you know my weaknesses, you're going to tear me up. And for a long time growing up, if anybody saw a weakness of mine, if I cried in front of somebody or showed pain in somebody, that person never saw me again. And I was that kind of Leo. That's a very unhealthy Leo. I'm a lot healthier now. I can let people in and hope they don't hurt me. You know?
Well, Leos also take their own pride in their pride, which is, just like you have a group of lionists, that lion is going to have that group that's not only there for protection, but they're there for companionship. They're the ones that'll know those. So there's a Leo always has a inner circle, but it's a very small, tight knit
Yes,
circle. If you are not a part of that, you are going to you're going to need you're not going to penetrate that skin. You're going to be on the outside, whether
yeah,
you be cold and frosty or the sweetest person you ever met. A Leo will still keep you at a pause distance.
absolutely, absolutely. And Leo now in like pop astrology or modern astrology, and Leo has always been associated with ego. But nowadays, that's considered to be a really, really bad thing. Like, oh, she's egotistical. A lot of Leos hold back because that ego is seen as something obnoxious. But what ego is, what it was designed to relate with the Leo story, all the signs before it are of the self. They're very self contained. They don't need anybody else, right? Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. Now, Cancer extends to the nuclear family. Cancer will extend to what it considers family. Anyone outside that, they don't really, it's like, oh, whatever. But Aries, Taurus, and Gemini are pretty self contained, pretty self centered. And I don't mean that in a bad way. They're the survivors. They're the ones who, okay, I'm going to survive so that others around me can survive, but I'm taking care of me first. And Kelly says, oh, okay. I didn't realize he had used the pause for seamstress duties. Please excuse my weirdness still with anesthesia, but I was not missing this. And I'm really, really glad you're here. So we've got those four signs, and then the next four signs are about the awareness of others. So ego happens when you become aware of others. There is no ego. Oh, think about toddlers or young children. There is no ego until they realize that other people are judging them or looking at them when they get older. So the Leo ego is the awareness of others and the need to please the people around them. That's where ego comes. Not that we're all, now there are some arrogant asshole Leos. Ah, oh yeah. But that doesn't, ego does not mean all Leos are arrogant. It means they try too hard often to please the people around them. A
But you got to
negative Leo, say again.
I was like, but you got to think of the person that's telling the Leo that they're arrogant or their ego is bad. Are these the people who are aware of their self and want to protect themselves because they know without their own self they cannot help anybody else? Or are we looking at the person that wants to be seen as the person, oh, I care about everybody else and I put myself last? Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
But if you're
but
no
it's not
good,
healthy.
right? But if you're no good to yourself, you're not going to be any good to others because what you're preaching is something you're not practicing. So when I hear Leos and they talk about their ego, I don't see it as an ego. I mean, I feel like it's self care more than anything. I've never, and I know quite a few Leos. I've been best friends with one for over 20 years now. And, I've never see her or any of the other Leos that I know, you included, that they're all feed me, pet me. Now, do you like the
Yeah,
pets? Absolutely. You got to pet everybody every once in a while, but you have to take care of yourself too. And if you can't do that, you're useless to everybody else.
yeah, I agree with
Strength
that
starts with you.
100%. And usually the people, like in my experience, and I grew up, you're a Leo, you're arrogant, you're a Leo, you're egotistical, you're a Leo, you're this, that. I drew back away. It was usually people, like if I drew boundaries and I said, no, I can't do that for you, or no, I'd rather do this. If I did put myself first, it was those manipulative people that used that to make me do what they wanted. And they
Right.
knew that I was sensitive enough to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Leo wants the friends. They do like the attention. They would love to see their pride grow bigger. But
Yeah.
due to that, oh, you're egotistical. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. How do you know? Do you know this Leo? Do you know how strong this Leo is? Is this Leo holding back so they don't kill you? Because I mean, the Leo can tear you apart. They know exactly what part of your body is your weakness and they will attack it. Do they choose to do so? No. If you push them, if you back a lion into a corner, you better believe your ass is going to get mauled.
I have a very um as a Leo, my fuse is very long. It takes a lot to piss me off. You've seen me annoyed. I get annoyed easily, but absolutely angry, it takes a lot. And that's because I have Mars in Scorpio in my chart in the first house. So it does take, because I have to analyze it and I have to look at it and I have to see if I have the right to be angry. And because so many people say, about Leos, like I actually, and Kelly says, yes, girl, oh my God. And Karina's laughing at me. And Phoenix, oh, and Kelly says, right on, Journey. So it takes a lot for me to get mad. And you've seen me mad. You've
I
seen
have.
me mad, and I go still, like
And then Journey
completely
goes on the
still.
attack before the lion does.
Because if I attack, it will be brutal. And I've got enough in my chart to remember that things can be said and done. But you always, you've defended me when you've
I have
seen
a
me
hard
so
shell.
angry. Yep. And I go completely cold and still and very quiet. And you're like, who do I have to kill?
Yep. Who am I taking out? Don't worry, crabs eat everything.
Nothing will be left.
Exactly. We will destroy everything that is this person. But,
And I
Leo, I do know that Leos are extremely sympathetic when they want to be and when they feel like they have to be. The over analyzing is the strategic move. A lot of people think, oh, well, you're just confusing yourself. No, they're coming at it strategically. They are looking at the situation going, if I do this now, how is it going to affect what's to come? Or how am I going to counteract what just happened? They need to
mm,
plan it out, just like the lioness go out to, let's say, catch a wildebeest. This wildebeest is out destroying something that they love or they're hungry and need to go after it. But anyways, they know their way of hunting because they're strategic. They know if it jumps this way, this one's gonna get it. If it goes that way, that one's gonna get it. Who's the strongest? Who's the weakest? Who stands where? Who's the fastest?
then they observe those herds
Mm-hmm.
before they hunt. They
Exactly.
know which ones are sick and which ones are weak.
I
Yep.
keep using
They
the
do.
lions because Leo is a lion, but at the same time, you can see where Leos have those traits from those lions. You can see those traits within there, where they got these, where these part of these stories come from, and that loyalty. Leo, it can be extremely loyal, or they could be the person you don't turn your back on.
And see, the Mayan lion, his loyalty was deep and true, but it was placed in an unhealthy place. So Leo can place their loyalties in unhealthy places and stay long past the expiration date. They don't really like a lot of changes. So it takes an outside influence
Neither
most
do
times to be
cats.
able to say, hey, this is bad for you. Walk away, you know?
Well, neither do
But
cats. Hint, hint. Just a little ancestor from that lion. But
Yep.
like I said, even I know lots of Leos that'll give you the shirt off their back. If they've got it to give, they will help. They will teach you to hunt rather than just keep giving you everything. And a lot of people don't don't see that either. They
Yeah.
don't see that, well, you have it to give, just give it to me. No, how about I teach you how to hunt? And that way you never have to go hungry again. Because if you
How about I
know how,
buy you a goat and you always have milk type of thing? Kelly says, my Leo pops out frequently. Yeah. And Karina says, yes, I've watched this. So loyal.
mhm,
To most of the fixed signs have a loyalty that could be detrimental to the self and
yes.
to the people around them. So way past the expiration date. And it's brutal to watch and it's brutal to do. Um, and sometimes it is completely misplaced because they really want to belong. They really want to feel like they are part of something. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Well, Leos like to, if I hand out the respect, I expect that respect in that same aspect. Don't take, and take, because then you see that side of the Leo that you don't want.
Oh yeah. And they do have that pride. Like
Hmm.
Hercules. Hercules, when Eurystheus said, no, you're not allowed in my kingdom, you're gonna do all this stuff by messenger. You don't get to talk directly to me. And Hercules knew that that feat wouldn't be counted because he didn't give Eurystheus the pelt. But he was so pissed off, and he's like, all right, you're going to be like that to me. I'm keeping this damn thing. That was pride. That was
Well
pride.
deserved.
Yep. And yeah, Karina says, yep. And Rose says, I think one of my twins of Gemini is a secret Leo. That could be. That could be. But you know what? We do need to look at your chart because we hit it off so easily. I've got that Gemini moon, and then I bet you have Leo somewhere in there. We're gonna have to. I love
Well,
playing with people's charts.
the Gemini has the yin and the yang, so there's going to be a balance at some point. The Gemini can reflect a million different signs. They have the ability, it's within them.
Well, okay, like again with the first four signs.
Hmm.
Those okay, so we have Aries, which is cardinal fire, and cardinal. Fire is happiest being cardinal, forceful, outgoing, able to grow in any direction, right? Then we have Taurus, fixed earth. Earth is happiest being fixed. It don't like mudsliding. It don't like quaking. You see the earth, it's usually standing pretty daggone still, right? Gemini, mutable air. Thought. Air is mutable. We manipulate it every day. Breathe in, breathe out. If it were fixed or cardinal, it would damn kill us. We wouldn't be able to breathe. It can get into all the cracks and crevices of anything. And then cardinal water. Water is cardinal because it is the life giver. It is cardinal because it springs forth something new. So, of those four signs, those are the rawest of each of the elements, the most potent of each of the elements, the way those elements need to be. So, all of the other signs are a manipulation of that or that element in an uncomfortable place. And I don't even know where I was going with that, but there you go. And Rose says that would be so much fun. Yeah. And
All
did you
right.
remember that? Do you remember where I was going with that?
No.
Because I just went on a tangent there.
Yeah, that's where I got lost. So I just kind of sat off to the side going, she'll figure it out.
You did understand what I was saying about those four first
I got
signs
to
being
fix that fixed energy of each one of the signs, and
the
did get,
purest form.
well, and Kelly said, that's awesome information. Laugh out loud.
I, I get so excited, y'all. You'll have to forgive me. And then I go rabbit holing. But the basic gist of that is the first four signs are the purest of each of their energies.
But that's the whole point, for you to go down the rabbit hole to tell us the story of all the rabbit hole jumping that you went in.
But then I lost the end of the rabbit hole.
But
Gemini moon, y'all.
I was
Mutable air. I was going this way, but I zigged. And Karina said, I enjoyed where you were going. Thank you.
all right, guys. We've got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to be wrapping this up. But we will be doing Virgo next month. Actually, the month, yeah, next month, because technically right now it's still 5 more minutes of July. Can you guys believe how fast this year's flown by?
No.
The seasons have already flown by. We're already getting ready for, well, in some areas, we're getting ready for fall.
I'm flummoxed by at least it's not just me, right?
No,
Y'all being
the
pulled
years are
along.
flying.
It is. It's crazy.
But Leo, the one thing I can say about Leos is you always want a Leo on your side. Because if you are someone who, let's say, lacks that confidence within yourself, that Leo knows where to find it to bring it out. So even though
And
everybody's like, oh, the ego, the ego, the ego, but for someone to know their best traits and to let those traits shine, they can also see those traits in other people to help them see their own shininess.
that's really funny that you say that because one of my favorite things to do is help people find their confidence and see those traits that they're amazing at and bring those out. And I honestly didn't realize that that was a Leo trait, but it's something I love to do. And Rose said, love your storytelling and happy birthday, beautiful. Thank you. And Kelly said, I was loving it. 5 minutes to Squirrel's birthday morning. And Kelly said, I hope your birthday is wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to be 25 with 26 years of experience.
Perfect. Someone needs to talk to your Gemini moon and tell them to find the numbers.
Oh, that was wait, 25. Oh, with 20, wait, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 31 years of experience. Oops. Rose says, love that.
Well, that wasn't for you to do math at that moment. I meant like the numbers in general.
Y'all just saw how I do math. I clack.
Well,
Just throw a
Squirrel,
number out there. No one will notice.
it's always beautiful to hear these stories, guys. Get ready for Virgo. It's coming up in August, and I'll be paying attention to that. I have a lot of Virgo in my chart.
Yes. Beautiful story. Beautiful.
And I cannot wait to hear it. As you know, we have pretty much every sign in our chart, just some are more prominent than others. And depending on what planet, what area of your life it's in, you know, we always find a way to figure out, oh, you know what, that part of the story resonates with me. That's probably because there's a certain planet in that sign that every now and then, whether it be retrograde or something's amplifying the energy of that planet, those traits come out.
Yep.
You're not
Yes,
one fixed
sir.
sign.
And if you don't identify with your sun sign, it's because there are other signs in planets or planets in signs that take precedence, that are stronger, that you lean more toward, because sometimes the sun signs are weaker than a whole great gang of signs somewhere else in the chart.
These are facts.
Yeah. And Rose says, I'm 25 with 15 years experience. LOL. Hey, she can do math. Kick her out. No, I'm kidding. And Kelly says, yes, Journey, I have Cancer in Venus. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
But you know what's funny about that is we said have your Gemini find the math or find the numbers, and then the Gemini is the one that came out with the numbers.
You know, I
Say
see
be more
numbers as
specific.
beautiful things.
Because time only exists on this plane.
Yep. Yep. So, guys, thank you so, so very much for being here and for the wonderful questions. I loved the questions tonight. Appreciate y'all. And I'll see you next time. Love you guys. Bye.